I think it's evident that object shows have been in a weird place for a long time. Many shows, good and bad, will slowly get new episodes, while just as many get cancelled and begin their runs. The most prevalent among these shows are not even super popular aside from shows like Teapot and Inanimate Insanity. Stuff like Paper Puppets Take Two and Burger Brawl are generally considered very good shows, but as far as widespread viewership, they at most reach above 500,000 on earlier episodes. Obviously very good viewership from a broader perspective, but it's clear lots of people only watch the most popular object shows. This does not mean anything bad for object shows, since this is how it's always been really, but I think that there is a good reason for this. Object shows are getting, and for a very long time have been getting, stale. It's hard not to come off as rude when saying this, but at this point it feels like creators are trying to be bland. The only thing that truly makes a show an object show is having a decent part of the cast as objects that are alive. But I think that we all know how object shows usually work. They're usually competition shows, or try a little bit too hard to be dark and serious. I mean, come on, can someone make a sitcom that doesn't get cancelled immediately? So many shows are just derivative of bfdi. Grassy fields with a cast that is a little bit too big for the creator to handle, causing bland characters and episodes that take way too long to produce. Then it gets cancelled. Shows like these pop out of the woodworks like recolors of Pin. There are even several cases I've experienced where a creator is finally making multiple episodes of a show with regularity, then they announce a new show, basically guaranteeing that they will never continue their previous series. Even for shows that don't have severe problems with standing out, stuff like The Nightly Manor and One, these people still aren't really writers. The first part of The Nightly Manor is mid as hell, with the deaths never being taken seriously and the decisions of the cast making no sense. For shows like One, I love them so much, then the ending breaks into my house, shoots my dog, and punches me, and I'm expected to accept it as grand art. Mind you, I am a fan of these shows, as well as lots of shows that are unoriginal. Not standing out is not a bad thing. A show can be fun to watch even if it's similar to ones you've watched before. But it doesn't mean I don't wish that there was some diversity. Some shows I have seen recently actually stand out. Stuff like Twilight Orchards, Journey into the Multiverse, Object After Dark. Even if I'm not a huge fan of some of these shows, in particular Journey into the Multiverse, at least they're interesting. But these shows, to me at least, represent how a show can still bring what object show fans love while being new and interesting. Twilight Orchards definitely is going to change as it goes on, clearly showing how it will get into a thicker plot, but the first episode provides lots of fun characters and cool animation. Journey into the Multiverse connects to other shows with the main character trying to make their own show, before being thrown into a new crazy scenario. And Object After Dark is a crossover talk show with other object shows, which is just the perfect way to get viewers from other shows interested, as well as still having off-the-wall comedy. These are all very new shows, and I think they spell a nice future for themselves. They all have unique art and animation styles, differing plots and characters. It is great to see. I think the funniest part about all of this is that the reason I am praising these shows in particular is just because of the simple fact that they are basically just non-object shows. An object show should not be restricted to anything aside from having objects, yet so many restrict themselves to being competition shows. I think that object shows should just be another style for an animated show to be in, with the two more legit reasons why the characters are objects being these: cool visual gags or little character nods, and that it's way easier to animate than a traditional show. Obviously, the realest reason is because we have all watched bfdi, but the first two reasons are the reasons I would make an object show over a normal one. All of this is mostly irrelevant though. If you want to make a competition show, then be my guest. It's your show and you shouldn't try to fit what I or anyone else really wants. But before you start making your show, I want to give out some advice on what to do and what not to do. Take it with a grain of salt though. Number 1. Cast size. Make sure your cast is not too big. Think to yourself, are all of these characters actually unique at all? Do you have the voice talent for all of them? Will this show take 1 year per episode because it has the cast size of Teapot, without the years of getting to know these characters that Teapot has? Basically, make sure to keep your cast big enough for what you want to be able to do, but make sure it is still going to be feasible to make and write for. For instance, AIB should have cut out at least 20 20 of the contestants, if not more than half of them. They just do not need this many people competing at once. Number 2, try to stay original. While obviously no one should get crucified for taking an idea from someone else, since that's what the idea of an object show always is, frankly, at least try and make some of your own ideas. This applies to everything: unique objects, challenges, plot lines, locations. Once again, there is nothing wrong with getting really inspired by shows like BFDI, but do you really think people would have this many characters based off of pins if it wasn't for BFDI? Similarly to making a show in the first place, if your motivation is to just make your own BFDI, don't. Number 3, really ask yourself, and I mean really, ask it. And I don't care if this point is similar to the last one. Does your show need to be a competition show? Do you think that the main meat of your show is the competition or the characters? The competition or the comedy? Of course, a competition format can sometimes help with these parts of your show, but just consider for a second that it may be better or just as good without being one. Anyway, that's enough rambling about this subject. I have a feeling due to my lack of making any object shows, I will get flack for my opinions. But I genuinely just want to see well-made shows being made. I don't think one particular change to any show will make it perfect, but at the least, I hope people make things that they genuinely want to. It can be sad to see fun shows being cancelled, but I hope it is only so that the creator can make the show that they truly want to. I also recommend, if you are making a show, to go check out tutorials on how to do it. And just tutorials for all parts of production in general, especially writing. Here's a final reminder to go check out the 3 shows I mentioned earlier. Links will be in the description. Well, that was me, Golden Archetype, and stay gold everyone, stay gold.